morning, bonjour, buongiorno. I don't know whether I can talk in Italian, being an official up to now. Do you have earphones, or do you have a problem? English is better? Okay, I will go in English. It's really a great pleasure for me to take part in this plenary closing session of the clusters participant meeting for Expo Milan 2015. I would like, first of all, to reassure you that the Italian government, not only the old one, but the new one to come, I dare to say, considers the World Exhibition of 2015 as an absolute priority. Giuseppe Sala, the commissioner of the government for Expo Milan 2015, was very right in explaining to all of you how Expo is a national project, not only of the governments in a sense, but of the people, the Italians, of the business sector. So we can be sure of that. We will go on working in a very decisive way on Expo 2015. But it is not only a national project, obviously. As Mr. Secretary General of the Bureau International des Expositions, Los Certales, was telling us before, this is a major international event with some specific characteristics, and it is the major event that will happen in Europe in the next few years. So I would like to emphasize this point. First of all, participation in Expo Milan 2015 means being part of the most innovative and dynamic core of Europe. And this is an important point, especially because, as it was already said by Beppe again, Italy is going to get the presidency, the rotational presidency of the European Union, in a very important moment for Europe, as we all know, but also for the discussion about the post-millennium development goals. And since the theme, as we all know, is food security and the future of a more sustainable development, this is a major task we have. And I repeat, the new government, like the old one, will put this theme at the very heart of our priorities already during the presidency of the European Union. Let me go a bit around the theme, because I think that after 2 days of discussion about clusters and having invested, and thank you very much, more than 75 countries in clusters, I imagine that you already know everything about clusters. Maybe you are fed up about the discussion on clusters. So I will try to put on the table, if you wish, closing up this very interesting meeting, some other issues. First of all, our ambition as organizing country is to leave an immaterial legacy, if I can put it this way. We would like to achieve some meaningful results on how to reconsider the exploitation of soil and water, on how to cope with malnutrition and hypernutrition, this famous imbalance we have in nowadays world, on how to reduce food waste and losses, and we are confident that you all your countries, will give a very crucial contribution to this discussion. Expo will be an expo also about these kind of ideas, and we really hope that being part of Expo Milan, you will be able to give us, you will be willing to give us your very important contribution. And I think that discussing about this, food security, sustainable development, we have a lot of dilemmas which are interesting, and we will try to discuss them in Milan. Let me mention very briefly 3 of them that I consider really intriguing, very interesting. The first dilemma is the economic one. It's an open question, as we know, whether the increase in food production is already able to cope with the increase of demographic trends. This is the thesis of part of the world taking care of these problems. And if this is true that the increase of food production has been already able to cope with the increase in the demographic curve, the problem is only a problem of distribution of resources. The wrong distribution is what prevents us to be able to feed the planet, the theme of Expo. The opposite view clearly is opposite. That means that no, we need to increase production, investing both in agriculture, in small agriculture and in major agriculture innovations. And my view on that is that probably we need both, that the two viewpoints have to be combined. We need both a better distribution of resources, but also an increase and diversification in production. And from this point of view, the clusters, your contribution is particularly important because, as Beppe was mentioning before, together with Mr. Las Cortales, clusters are not cartels. This is a very important point to be understood. It is the opposite. Clusters will be a living testimony of a new and dynamic ways to increase diversity of production, to show cultural and technical differences, to be able to see best practices, to compare them, to build up new partnerships. So it's a very important point in my view, and clusters will be particularly important under this respect. Let me quote a second dilemma. That was the economic one. I have a political one, which is, in a sense, even more intriguing, because it's, for me, it's a basic dilemma, but it is not really understood in this way. In my view, in the moment in which we say, as we will say in Milan, and we will say in the discussion of the post-development goals, that access to food is a human right, and this is the major step forward that we are making with the discussion over the post-millennium development goals. So if we decide it is a human right to guarantee access to the mankind, the consequence, the logical consequence, in my view, is that we have a duty as international community to grant to people this access. We enter the field of food security in the real sense of the word. We enter the field of the responsibility to protect as applied to this kind of issues. So this is a very intriguing point. It has to do with the exercise of national sovereignty, so it's not easy to put on the table such a theme, but I think it's an important dilemma. And the third dilemma, if you wish, is more obvious, but I want to underline that. It is about the role of women. We all know that women play a crucial role as the first source of nourishment, and yet we know they do not have enough access to the instruments needed to become agriculture producer in an efficient way. This has to do with credit, with land rights. This is a very important theme for Expo. Mrs. Bonino, the foreign minister up to now, says very frequently that this will be the first gender-based Expo. So it's very important that we are able to sustain a Women for Expo initiative. We are doing that. We have a wonderful international board, and really we hope that you will be able to help us also under this respect, identifying women from your countries that are ready to play with us this role and to become Women for Expo ambassadors. So thank you very much for being here. I don't want to insist too much on clusters. I fully share what have already been said. Clusters, again, are very important because my feeling is that this new kind of cooperation and partnership will be able to survive to Expo, will go on. So it will be very important to be there, to play a cooperative role in clusters, to put your ideas into these clusters, because we just offer a very important platform and a very important framework, but ideas have to come from you. It's much better also for us. And so I'm really confident that we will be able to have a wonderful Expo in Milan. You know, the Italians tend to be pessimistic. If there is an issue on which we are overly maybe, but I don't think so, we are rightly optimistic, is the success of Expo Milan 2015. Thank you.
Davvero molte grazie al Vice Ministro Dassu. E allora, i nostri lavori si concludono qui. C'è una bella sorpresa qui fuori, ma come tutte le sorprese non ve la posso raccontare. E quindi, intanto, molte grazie e a presto, arrivederci. Buona serata.